Okay, hello, Angus. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm very well. Enjoying the sunshine. Yep.
Yes, lovely. Um, right, okay, so we have these two lovely gentlemen joining us to talk about proof of concept. Hello, hi. How are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen Amrish for ages. Okay, guys, would you like to start by introducing yourselves and telling us about proof of concept? What is it as a concept?
Sure. Why don't you go first, Amrish?
Hi, Samantha. Great to see you. Good morning from Los Angeles here. It's quite early, but I thought I'm going to make it for Eric, anything for Eric and the team and the crew. Hi, Angus. Good morning. Proof of Concept is an online community and platform to give people access to business information for the screen and entertainment industry. So we're a platform to help support people in the creative space, primarily for above the line, but also moving into below the line as we go along. So it's an education platform, it's a community, it's a space to help people connect, network, and learn the skills that they don't teach you at film school, but are super important in the film industry.
I mean,
Brilliant. Thanks, Amrish. So I've worked in the film business for about 35 years as a producer, as an entrepreneur, as a fundraiser, a managing director of Renaissance Films, Kenneth Branagh's first film company. I've executive produced a whole body of work, and I've also lost shed loads of money. I know what it's like to be an investor or an executive producer on the losing end. I think the worst experience I had was closing Renaissance Films in 2005, where we owed about £2 million and we had ripped through about £25 million with nothing to show for it. So please don't think just because I'm an experienced executive producer and manager that it all goes right. And I guess it's on the back of that that Amrish and I came together because I've written a lot of books about the industry. I've taught and trained all over the world, including the NFTS and London Film School, but obviously much wider, all the way from New Zealand to Canada to France to, you name it, Middle East, etc. What we found and what I thought about in terms of all the IP and knowledge that I brought to the table is it's important to share that knowledge, share it as openly and as democratically as possible, and to really inspire and encourage people through a transparent learning system rather than one that is sort of gate kept. And I've never really believed in the mantra in the industry, you just have to learn on the job. Actually, there's a lot that we can all do. It doesn't matter how young or old you are to empower yourself through information, knowledge, and networks. And as Amrish said, we are very, very keen on making sure that proof of concept, which is a series of different types of modules for learning, is much larger than the sum of its parts and effectively is able to build a network and a community that really benefits from open information, any frequently asked questions, insights into how to deal with their own initial career opportunities and challenges. So that kind of, if you like, value system is really important to us.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is fascinating because it is a training program about the business, like you say, the business of the film industry, which is always opaque. No one really knows. Everyone just sees the end product. They never see what happens before that. From two people who have been in the business and, like you say, have lost some money from it. So, if there were like some top line things that you want all of the young people watching to take away about the business of film, what would that be? I know that's a bit on the spot because I haven't sent you that question in advance. Sorry, guys.
No, I think that's a
Um,
really good question. Amrish, you shoot and then I'll follow.
um, Hi, Samantha. I think the number one aspect of this business is firstly, it's a people's business. It's a relationship business. So as much as you want to learn about how to write a script and how to turn on a camera, people skills are really important. The art of negotiation, the art of pitching, learning to speak to someone without looking at your phone, learning to reply to emails, learning to follow up. Those are these people that people say, "Oh, you're so lucky and you're moving ahead so fast." They rarely get great communicators because it's a relationship business and a people business. So as part of proof of concept, we not only want to give you the skills about the industry, but also skills about doing business in the creative space, which we found a lot of creative people don't have the opportunity, don't have the access to have those spaces to not only learn the skills, but also to practice them.
Oh,
And
great.
then in terms of the kind of learning patterns, we find that a kind of scaffolding approach is probably best, where there's a series of modules that participators, subscribers can get involved with. There's quite a level of testing and making sure that there's knowledge retention in the way that we've designed it. There's going to be open days where we're going to be online and able to answer all sorts of different types of questions that people have on a very bespoke basis. I have no fear of answering anything when it comes to, whether you're a runner, a gaffer, or you're a wannabe executive producer or producer, or as we heard in the segment before us, there are so many jobs and so many opportunities. That doesn't mean to say you can busk it and think that you can get ahead without understanding how the industry operates, how it's structured. So let me give a concrete example for all of you who are listening. One of the key modules that I've used over the last, say, 15, 20 years, and I wish I'd known this, 40 years ago, is the film value chain, the entertainment value chain. How does a project move from idea to development into a package, where there are attachments like a director, cast, a budget, etc. How does that move into financing? How does it then get into pre-production, production, post-production? And what is happening in terms of sales and marketing and distribution during all those phases? And of course, crucially, what happens when you get to the festival and exploitation stage as you get to the delivery of the product? So we traverse that entertainment value chain, not just through film, but also through obviously TV and streaming models, etc. And that, if you like, is a good example of a core module, which is really instructive, super practical, and I find brings everyone onto a level playing field. They're kind of, okay, now we understand how the industry is really structured and what happens in those links in that chain. That's just an example.
No, fantastic. Both of those fantastic examples of things that you need to know in order to enter an industry. I think there is not enough in general contextual learning when it comes to, I guess, these kind of vocational areas of careers. Amazing stuff. I feel like I'm learning so much about the film industry. I don't know anything. I don't think about the business of it. So what do you think is the most underrated area of the film industry to work in? Or we've heard a lot about skills gaps at the moment. But from your perspective as business people, where do you think there is a kind of gap, or where do you think young people should be looking in?
There's one very obvious answer, which is deeply divisive, but incredibly important to address because it's already here and it won't go away. And that is the new AI industrial revolution. The fact is that the film industry is pivoting and shifting. In fact, the whole of the screen entertainment industry is pivoting. There are obviously huge issues there. And we think that the kind of skills around prompting, prompt engineering, ability to engage effectively with ethical and responsible AI are incredibly important, if you like, drivers of the engine. And they will be not just near future, they're going to be incredibly important now. The reason why I say that partly is because I've just finished a book called Human in the Loop, the film industry and the AI value chain. And that's been really instructive for me and Amrish to put together as a proof of concept publication that we'll be sharing, obviously, with all our subscribers. Because again, it uses the value chain model, but it shows how important it is to be aware and engaged with these shifts, and not just for first timers or people who are trying to get into the entry points of the industry. There's a massive management problem here. Most managers don't understand AI. They're scared of it. They're worried about it. They see it as a risk. They see it as a threat. It's a bit like those great lines from Douglas Adams, who says, anything that's invented up to the age of about 7 or 8 is brilliant and normal. Anything from 7 to sort of 25, you might get a job in. Anything invented after 35 is a huge threat to everything. So it's kind of thinking about what are these pain points for both young entrants, if you like, mid-sector, people who have already engaged in the industry, and management, and trying to make sure that there's really solid information and critical analysis about these tools. I think that's one area that I would say is very important. The other is that we learn often through great case studies. We learn through case studies. And I think for anyone starting off in the industry, there's nothing like actually doing a deep dive and understanding how different films, projects actually got made, what really happened, how they evolved. And that nuts and bolts kind of learning through example and case studies is something that Amrish and I feel very strongly about.
Amrish, do you have anything to add to that? Any thoughts?
I would say it's also important to keep reading. There's so many people that we found that are just not reading. They're looking at screens, they're watching screens, and they're wondering where my idea is going to come from. You have to read because reading is what gives you the idea. It's a great imagination in your brain. So everyone that's out there and not thinking whether, they should be reading more, read more fiction, read more nonfiction, put that screen away and let your brain create something that's unique to you. That's
That's
really, really important.
I actually love that. Do you know, I've never thought about the fact that like watching a screen doesn't encourage imagination because the visualization is there in front of you. That's so obviously I need to think.
Well, whose imagination are you like engaging with? It's someone else's. So, I'm at the age where like I had time before the screen generation. I'm part of the screen generation now. And I find that when I'm stuck with it for ideas, I close the screen, I read, or I just write. It's very, very undervalued. And if you're engaging in reading as a young person, you're going to get ahead because a lot of people are not reading.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Okay, well, guys, so we've got 3 minutes left. What is your piece of advice for the young people watching to be able to prepare themselves now? Obviously, other than developing AI skills, which they probably would be best placed to do anyway because they're digital natives, so very adaptable. And also reading. What are your kind of other actionable tips for them to follow?
I think the key thing, and that Amrish and I are very keen to be able to build, if you like, with proof of concept, is where we started with this chat with you, Samantha. It's about a network. It's about being able to reach other people, being able to find out answers to questions, being able to be really involved and attached and engaged in a community rather than feeling isolated and alienated. It's a very difficult industry to engage with because it's it's got a low barrier to entry in the sense that anyone could print their name on a card and say producer. And the next question is, what have you produced? So the low barrier to entry is a little bit of a smoke screen because the truth is that anybody who wants to get engaged needs to be able to look for those first openings, that little bit of risk that someone takes on you as a runner, as an executive assistant, as someone who's willing to kind of get out there and get their hands dirty and learn fast. And I think what Amrish said about reading is incredibly important because actually one of the other things that's happening in the industry is the slowness of turnaround of scripts and script coverage. So one of the bits of advice to all of you, no matter what sector of the industry you might end up working in, or you might even have your first break in, read as many screenplays as possible and go to festivals without anything immediately that you want to sell or buy, and go and see a lot of films. Those two skills will always stand you in good stead, no matter what.
Love that.
I would add to that as well. Don't be scared of getting a job where sales is involved because sales is going to give you the skills of pitching. And you're always pitching, whether it's a script, whether it's a negotiation for a location, learn how to sell and don't be afraid of it because it's a relationship game. And that's a really important skill because when you're easy to work with in that space, you have experience dealing with that and experience dealing with rejection, you're going to go a lot further. And we're here to support you with that.
Yes, I love that. Amazing, guys. Two fantastic bits of advice to end on. Also, to Angus's point, we actually do promote a lot of free film festivals on the Eric app. So go download the app if you haven't already. And that's a way that you can go and access films for free. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. Honestly, my mind is blown. I feel like I know nothing about the business of film, so I need to go read more. And read scripts and do that. But this has been educational. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. And Amrish, what is it, like 1 a.m. in LA? Like, I don't know.
Oh no, it's 3:30 a.m.
3:30 a.m. Oh my God, go back to bed, sir.
There's no rest for the wicked.
I don't know if I can, Samantha. I'm so energized with spending time with you and Angus, but I'm going to try and get the sunshine because it's going to be up in a few hours.
Well, extra thank you to Amrish
Before we run away, we just also wanted to thank Eric because you've been an inspiration to us, Samantha. The way that you network, the way that you deal with your data collection and everything, it's a really great example to us. So thank you for that.
Oh my God.
We've your millionth data point event was a catalyst where we first met Samantha, and we've been basing a lot of our research and a lot of our problem solving on everything that you share. So we have some special goodies in store specifically for people on the Eric app coming soon, but we'll let you know about that as it unfolds.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, I could cry. Also, I love that that had an audience. So people want witnesses. Thank you guys so much. On that note, extra thank you. And I will chat to you both over email. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Bye-bye.